Now, have equality laws put in place to encourage more women into science, technology, engineering and maths effectively declared war on men? My guest tonight, straight talking Tory backbencher Ben, who's been described as the first blue brick in the red wall, is fighting to prevent the extinction of positive male role models with a campaign focusing on the classroom, having discovered there are 3,200 schools in England with 0 male teachers. Now, Ben, that's almost 1 million children who have no men to look up to in one of the most critical areas of their formative years. I feel so passionate about this because my father was a school teacher, and I still get people coming up to me today talking about how important it was for them to have a male role model in their lives, especially when they came from a family maybe without a father.
Well, that's exactly it, Dan. And I wanted to be a teacher as well, right? That was my raison d'etre before I accidentally became a politician. I think it's so important. And increasingly, as we find more and more children without dad at home, with difficult relationships at home, who might be experiencing domestic abuse or other challenges, and particularly post-COVID, when they've been locked at home with that for the last 2 years, those male role models and trusted adults in school settings, youth work, are increasingly important. But as you pointed out, we don't use that Equality Act both ways. We don't use it to support men into roles. It doesn't seem to fit comfortably in our conversations for some reason.
The irony, isn't it? We're so obsessed with increasing diversity in every other place apart from when it comes to men.
Well, precisely, and I made the same argument in debate in the House last week, where a huge amount has been done to increase racial diversity in our schools, and for many reasons, understandably, I think the kind of BME population of teachers is greater than the population now. A lot done to support women into leadership roles. You used the example there of girls into STEM. The precise same legislation that allows us to take positive action to support girls into STEM could be used to take the same positive action to support young boys and men to want to go into teaching, but we don't. And in this and many other areas of life, people, whether deliberately or inadvertently, misunderstand the point of the Equality Act and use it in the wrong way.
And Ben, why is it that you think men are so reluctant to go into the classroom these days? I have a suspicion that it's in part because they're very concerned about being accused of doing things. We have seen young male teachers who were innocent have their lives ruined because of false accusations. Do you have any understanding about what it is that is making men so reluctant to become teachers these days?
I think there's a number of things. I think one of it is that we have a very negative view sometimes of men, of male stereotypes, of abuse and all sorts of things. You see it in one place and you feel sometimes like it's almost assumed of all men in caregiving settings, which is awful in a whole variety of ways. There's also an element, I think it's still a perception that particularly early years primary teaching is still a woman's job, which is, again, totally old-fashioned and out of date. And I think increasingly male role models at that age are so important. But those barriers do exist and those perceptions exist. Nursing's very similar. You find very few men in nursing. But in those caregiving roles, actually, I think in the modern day, even more important that young boys and young girls are able to see men in caring settings, are able to see positive relationships between male and female teachers, are able to have trusted male role models in their lives that can help them to understand what all of that means.
What do you make of what's going on with Starmer and the fact that he's trying to toughen up on immigration? I spoke about it in my digest at the top of the show. Are you worried, Ben, that at the moment it looks as if this new Labour leadership might actually be a bit more right-wing, a bit more conservative than Sunak and Hunt?
I don't know, he might pretend to be. I don't believe for a second that he's got any commitment to tackling small boats. And indeed, he has made the opposite case almost in the same day, hasn't he? That we need to rely more on migration for economic reasons, but at the same time, he's willing to get tough on immigration. I don't think residents will believe it for a second. But what's absolutely clear is we as a Conservative Party need to back Suella. We need to give her the clout that she needs, and we need to make sure we do deliver, because that trust in our own management of the system is pretty fragile as well, isn't it?